As we kick off this season of Live Deliberately full of stories, I thought what better way to start than with a travel story for the Unbound crowd? And even better, what if it was an Unbound travel story? So this is the famous Pierre snake story. So it went like this. A little over a year ago, the National Student Cabinet, who plans the National Apex event for the Unbound student community, was in Texas for their kickoff planning event. They fly to Texas for an extended weekend to do all the planning they need to get ready for Apex, or rather to start the planning that they need to get ready for Apex. So we had flown in the night before, all the cabinet and staff. We had spent the night at the hotel. We'd come into the LeMaitre offices to work that morning, and we were taking a break for lunch, and we were at a restaurant. And so we were all sitting at this big long table making lots of noise and carrying on when all of a sudden my phone rang. And I looked down and it was a Texas area code. And that's a little unusual because most people in Texas that call me are already in my book and I know who they are. And so an unidentified number was a little strange. So I kind of kicked back from the table a little bit and I answered it. And I said, "Hello, is this Mr. Brush?" And I said, "Yes." And he identified himself as the manager at the hotel we were staying. And he said, "Mr. Brush, there's a snake in your room. Is it yours?" Now, that snake part sort of froze my brain a little bit, and I said, kind of blinked a few times, and I said, "Excuse me, what did you say?" And he said, "Mr. Brush, there's a snake in your room. Does it belong to you?" And I said, "Did you say snake? You know, snake with scales and forked tongue and little eyes and scales, and they kind of crawl around and have no legs, like that kind of like real live snake?" And he says, "Yes, sir, there's a snake in your room. Does it belong to you?" And I was like, "No, it doesn't belong to me. I flew here. TSA doesn't allow you to have carry-on snakes. And besides which, I've never had the desire or need to have a snake as a pet. If I did, I wouldn't travel with it. I wouldn't bring it to my hotel. I wouldn't leave it in my hotel. No, the snake doesn't belong to me. What do you mean? There's a snake in my room." He says, "Don't worry, we'll take care of it."
"Oh, we can handle it. We're professionals."
I said, No, I want some more details. Like, I want to know what kind of snake is it. Are we talking about a little bitty garter snake that just sort of crawled in off the street? Or are we talking about the boa constrictor that came from my neighbor next door and squeezed underneath the door? Or are we talking about some eastern diamondback rattlesnake that's going to bite me in the ankle when I come back to the hotel this afternoon? Like, what kind of snake are we talking about here? And he says, "Don't worry about it. We'll take care of it."
"Oh, we can handle it. We're professionals."
And he hung up the phone. And I'm thinking the only way that he could possibly take care of this is if he got me a new room in a different hotel several miles from the hotel that we're in. But at the same time, I was thinking, well, I'm not there now with the snake, and that's good. So at the very least, I have a very unusual and interesting story. So I hang up the phone, and I turn to everybody, and I say, "Hey, everybody, pay attention. Listen, let me tell you about what I call it I just got." And so I explained to them what just happened. Now, I'm expected to get hit with complete looks of disbelief, incredulity, kind of just this whole shock silence. And instead, I see Megan Weber go like this and look down the table just in time to see Pierre Duplessis and Ben Billups high-five each other across the table, which is a little bit suspicious. So I was like, okay, what gives? Well, it turns out that Pierre Duplessis had taken a very lifelike rubber snake and had packed it in his luggage. He had inserted it in the bed the night before to try to get Ben's attention, but Ben Billups, being cool as a cucumber as he is, had absolutely no effect on him whatsoever and didn't faze him a bit. So instead, they tried a different tactic, and Pierre had put it right in the middle of the room, just as you'd see as you came inside the room, perhaps clean the room. And obviously, it was a grand success. I wondered to myself how many times a maid had ricocheted off the walls and the furniture before she had found the exit, since she obviously had believed completely that it was a real live snake and had told the manager. And that left me with a little bit of a quandary, since I had to now call back and explain what had happened. So what had happened was that I had multiple rooms under my name for all the cab to stay in, and obviously all of those rooms had been attributed to me, including the one with the snake in it. So I called the manager back and I said, "This is Jonathan Brush, and about that snake that was in the room, one of my colleagues who was with me actually had a rubber snake and apparently accidentally left it on the floor, and I believe that's what the snake is." He says, "Don't worry, Mr. Brush. I've sent a crew to take care of it."
"Oh, we can handle it. We're professionals."
Now, ever since then, I've kind of wondered about this crew that he sent to take. In other words, how many people were in that crew? Are we talking 1, 3, 5, 7? Like, is there a typical snake removal crew on standby at this hotel? Is it kind of a thing where they drafted a bunch of people from the kitchen, the laundry, and said, "Go take care of a snake"? Did they have to pay them extra to be on the snake removal crew? And is this kind of standard operating procedure at hotels to have a snake removal crew? Or is this just kind of a spur-of-the-moment thing? But regardless of what it was, the crew apparently did its business. They determined the snake was indeed the rubber snake. And when we went back to the hotel that evening, the rubber snake was beside a little note from the maid that just said that she had cleaned the room with a smiley face. And that is the famous Pierre snake story. So now it's your turn. In the comments below, I'm really interested to hear your most unique or crazy travel experience story, or even better yet, maybe your most unique and crazy snake story. I'd love to hear that. If you got any other stories to share with us, would love to hear that as well. If you like these videos, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and thank you so much for watching.